So what are the do-while loops? Let's say that we would like to make a simple program that will help sellers in supermarkets to sum up the price of all products in a given order. So the seller is probably going to sum the prices for each product, something like 1 plus 2 plus 1 plus 5 and so on, right? Let's leave it as integers for this example, though in the real life it will probably be of a floating point type, but that's something that we can modify whenever we like. So we want to develop a program that all it will do is simply this operation. It will sum up all the prices until a given price, let's say 0, will be inserted, alright? I mean, it makes sense to use a 0 price as a stopping condition because it simply won't change the total price and nothing in our code. So basically, to summarize, the seller will insert prices of different products one after the other, and once he will insert a 0, this will mean that the order is complete and that we have to print the total price to let the customer pay what he has to pay. So let's take a closer look to see how it looks like in our program in C. I've just added it here for you guys, that it will be more convenient for us to take a look. So first of all, we create two variables, a price variable and a total price variable, which will hold the total amount of all the prices for all the products we've inserted so far, and the price that will simply read a given price at every time, at every iteration, because we are going to use loops here. So we first of all, like in the previous milestone, we print a nice message, please enter a price, then we read the value of the price and store it inside the price variable, and then we test out the condition while price is not equals to 0, we are going to run the loop body. And in the loop body, we are going to add the given price to the total price and read the next price one after the other and so on until we reach a price of 0. And once we reach the price of 0, we simply are going to get out of this loop and to print the total order price, which will be the total price, the value inside of this variable. But if we're to take a closer look at this program, we can clearly see that there are two repeating lines here. This printf and scanf line, these two lines, and these two lines, they are basically identical. So we can see that we have some sort of code duplication, and it's basically just unnecessary. We should try to avoid code duplications whenever we can. So what basically can we do about it in this example? Can we do something differently, or should we just leave it as is, this code duplicated in two places? And as the title suggests, we are going to use here another structure of loops, not the while loop as we've seen here and exactly as we've done in the previous milestone. We are going to use do-while loops in C. So how a do-while looks like, let's see. So it's very similar to a while loop, all right? It's very similar. It's do-while, and there is while, there is a do-while, and it looks like the following. First of all, you specify, first comes the do statement, and then you have the curly brackets that specify the block of commands that is going to be under which is actually the loop body. And the commands here are going to be pretty much the same as they were in the while loop. So you just print out a corresponding message to the user to enter a price, and then you read the value from the console, then you add it to the total price, and then you specify that it's all of these curly bracket is the loop body, and it's going to run while the price is not equals to 0. So basically it's the same as the previous while loop. The only difference is that the first time we are going to hit that do while loop, the first time we're going to come here, we will run all of the loop body commands regardless of the condition, regardless if the price is 0 or not. We are first of all going to execute the loop body for the first time, Then we are going to check the condition, and if the condition is true, we are going to run it once again, and if it falls, we are going to step out of this loop and to proceed with this line. So pretty simple. We run the commands regardless of the condition, and then we check the condition and run the iterations over and over again, just like using the standard while loop that we've seen previously. So that's pretty simple, guys. The logic is pretty straightforward. All you have to do is probably just get used to this syntax in C language. And just to make it more clear to you, let's make a comparison, a full comparison with the while loop, how the code maps from one type of writing the code to another type of writing the same code. In one option we use the while loop, and the second option we use the do while loops. So the first two lines that we've seen previously, the printf and the scanf, that was before we entered the while loop, is actually mapped to this guy. We can see that in both cases these two lines are going to be executed regardless of the result of this condition here or this condition here. And we can see that we have also on both sides the while statement and the condition, which is just the same, right? It specifies the loop condition, and it will be whenever the price will equal to 0, we will step out of this loop. So it's the same in both cases. And also, if we take a look at the loop body in the while structure, it is the same. All right, if you take a look, it is the same, just that the total price here is at the third line, while here it's in the first line. So it's mapped pretty much the same way as we've done it in the while loops. So the same with the do while loop. The body is pretty much the same, just organized a little bit different. So what we can learn here is that in this case, where in this such cases, let's say, when we know that the same commands, one command, a couple of commands should be executed before the loop body, and also the same commands are going to be executed inside of the loop body, in these cases we are going to prefer to use a do while structure, because we want to eliminate the usage of code duplication whenever we actually can, because code duplications are very hard to maintain. And for example, if on another day you will find out that here in the printf command you wanted just to change the message printed out to the screen, then you have to remember that you must change all of the messages that are duplicated inside of this code. And to tell you the truth, that's not something that happens. If you will use code duplications, you are actually going to probably experience a lot of bugs in your program that are not so easy to detect.